Thanksgiving, and in the Jewish way of life, it's just the beginning, right? The night, and then it continues to the next, and now it's going to be Shabbos here, all of us together. So it's very exciting. Oh my.
It's a special
And all, you know, in one respect, when I give these classes at retreats about health, sometimes I want to say it at the end of the retreat, because you pay like money and you want to eat and you want to enjoy, and then here I'm going to ruin it all for you. Yeah, no, okay.
We're only going to eat the healthy
Right.
food, don't worry.
Absolutely. Or I think, okay, I hope they're not going to look at my plate while I'm standing there. No, I'm just kidding. But no, this is like a really important topic. I mean, out of everything that I feel so passionate about, I cannot tell you how passionate I feel about this. My next upcoming book is on health, and it was my journeys of redeeming my health. I went through so much like agony and suffering and agony and doctors, and when I was young, and not knowing from what, and suffering. I can't even, like, I could write a book, it won't be enough to say. And I went through every kind of route when I was in my own family, when they didn't know about holistic care. And then I went even through the holistic care. And still, you know, even reading so much information, and still, because again, like we said in last night's class, you can know information, but to implement it is a whole different story. And I knew certain things. I studied health in college. I knew these things, but yet I couldn't stop my mouth. I couldn't stop the addictions of sugar and wrong eating, and even though I would feel the headache and the nauseousness after eating a certain way and too much, only till Hasidus came to really help me implement what I know, which we will talk about in this class. But today's class, we are going to focus on not only the how to get this knowledge so that we can implement it, we're going to also talk about the specific diet, the specific measures we need to take today, more than any. Because today we're constantly bombarded by hearing what's going wrong with other people's health. And we're sitting there like almost anxious, like, what? She's 37 years old and has ALS? Or what?
That's okay.
This child is with this disease and this machala and what? Someone 60 is now with Parkinson's or dementia, and it's all over, you know? And so many times, like, people blame God, like, what a crazy world and so many diseases. But I sometimes say, you know, in my heart of hearts, like, maybe, like, we can take more action. We can do more preventative measures on our part to be more healthy. I mean, Rambam talks about it, right? We have to shmor nafshechem. Our body is our house of our soul. I tell people, would you go to the Beit HaMikdash and throw garbage at the Beit HaMikdash? Putrid, toxic chemicals at the Beit HaMikdash that can go in the flames. So our body is our holy of, you know, Mikdash for our soul. So I hope today I will inspire you to be a little more aware of the preventative measures that we can take today to make sure our body is not a feeding ground for these viruses. It's like Louis Pasteur actually said that we don't have to fear germs. We have to fear that our body is a habitat for allowing these germs to feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. When our body is too acidic, when it's too lacking the alkaline balance, then it's like a perfect place for these germs to increase and be able to procreate in our systems, in our body. So, you know, because aren't we tired of being tired? Even nothing to do with preventative diseases, right? How many times the whole week we're barely sometimes with our family? Shabbos is our family time, but we're exhausted. We overeat and we sleep through Shabbos. We can take 2 or 3 hours naps after having woken up late, even on Shabbos. So it's like, it's also about saving today, maximizing our strength to be able to live a productive and happy life. Because overindulging actually is the number one key problem. And the Rambam talks about it in this order. There is eating till you're not satiated, which we're going to talk about under eating and even chemically why this is so healthy for us. 2, then it is exercise. And 3rd in the rank of most important, meaning not as important though, is what you eat. The key is not overeating, because that allows for your system to take the food, break it down, and make it go where it needs to go. See, what happens is when you overeat and you have too much food, it's kind of like what happens when you have a washing machine with too much clothes in it. All the suds and soap cannot get, the detergent cannot get to the clothes to break down the soil and stains of the garments. So it just sits there and it just doesn't do its work. So when our stomach is so full of food, and you know when you're so full, you're like, ooh, like you're tired, your mind starts to feel like so like brain fog, and you really can even sleep instantly. So what's happening is when there's too much food in our stomach, it's like this washing machine that's too full. And then what happens? The enzymes cannot come and break down the food. And if the enzymes cannot bring, its power to the destination of the stomach, because there's just no room to get into that stomach, then what happens is the food doesn't decompose. It's stagnant. It becomes acidic, it becomes putrid, it becomes toxic, and then it goes toward needing to be removed, but like, where is it gonna go? It's not good stuff. And so it's like, it can't go too much to the liver, it can't go too much to the pancreas, it can't go to the brain, it can't go, so let me put it on the side of your body as fat, because it's too much food, and food that has not been converted to useful energy that will turn into literally your heart, your brain, and everything else on top. So it turns into fat. So if you leave with just one message today, don't overeat. You can eat the same amount of calories, you can eat maybe even the same amount throughout the day, but don't have this overstuffed feeling where you're nauseous almost from being so overwhelmed by the heaviness of the food.
Okay, I'll get the bed.
So, and my father-in-law, when I was in the hospital with him, bless his soul, he was a surgeon, he wrote books, he was an entrepreneur, new research and new surgeries. And when he was talking to me, he said, I found in life, in my 65 years of practice, something like that, he said, I found that the most important thing to health is under eating, not eating too much. And then he said, next is very, very important, exercise. And the next is really what you ate. Because I saw all kinds of people eating this diet and that diet, and it really wasn't the biggest factor. It was really the under eating, meaning not overeating. Not that we should undereat and feel faint and like roll in the snow, kind of like let's like torture ourselves, but just eating efficiently. And the research shows this. There is a chemical process by which our brain will create this. It's called NRF2 when we undereat. Now this NRF2 is a type of element that helps the body fight disease. It helps fight inflammation. It helps get rid of toxicity in the body. And so like so many people are spending a lot of money on superfoods like broccoli or blueberries and all these very expensive vitamins as well. But you can activate things in your own body so that you don't have to go bankrupt getting all these things to keep yourself healthy. You can have the health in your own hands by just a little under-eating. And definitely, minimally, don't overeat. Imagine that secret ingredient in your hand to help prevent so many diseases. So you see the whole process by us being co-creators with Hashem to create our masterpiece is how we use our mouth. Because let me tell you, there's a pasuk that says, "Ezehu sameach bechelko," is who is the happy man? That is someone who is happy with his lot. So he's not a millionaire, and so he has a home, and may not be in Beverly Hills. It's a little something, but he has his food. But another explanation of this pasuk is he who is happy with the portion of his food that the body needs and not more. Because what happens is our eyes, especially in today's day and age, seeing every shefa on the face of this earth, and the bar mitzvahs and the weddings and the l'chaims and the kiddushes and and like it's there and it's free. Especially if you pay for a retreat and you're like, I gotta get my money's worth. Or you go to a buffet, you pay for this entrance. Let me pack it in. You're packing it in with an expense. More than the expense that you paid to go to that restaurant. Being happy with your portion of food that your body needs and no more. There's another Dvar Torah on the idea of, being happy with your portion. And it was the inyan of the Jewish people in the desert, and when man came in a shamayim, and so there's a teaching that man came for the tzaddikim at the door, and the man came for the so-so beinanim, kind of like in the middle of the city, and then for the non-tzaddikim and non-beinanim, the ones that were the lowest of level, their portion of man was in the outskirts at the city. So the teaching is as follows. Let me tell you, everyone had their portion either at the door or on their table. The tzaddikim said, Ezehu sameach bechalko. This is my portion, thank you Hashem. The non-tzaddik, it's a good piece of meat here, but maybe there's a fattier, juicier, bigger one. Maybe there's a better, bigger portion. Maybe I want seconds, I want more. So they went more and more to collect their extras. And of course, the one that were really determined to get the extras didn't stop till they underturned every corner of the city. And that's why they ended up at the end of the city limits. So we have to look at our plate and say, I'm going to be happy with this portion. Because this portion is going to make me work. This portion is going to get me to the next energy I need to be able to fulfill my mission here on earth and not to sleep away my life or be like a brain fog all day long because I'm just, one time I was in shul, I'll never forget it, and I was clapping because anyone who sees me in shul, I'm like, Lecha Dodi, the angels are coming, we're going to have all our sins taken away, I'm very happy Shabbos is here, and then she's like looking at me like, what do you take that you have so much energy? And I was like, I really wanted to say, and I wanted to say, it's what I don't eat that makes me have energy. I was once in the Dead Sea, and someone was watching me, and in the buffet, and she saw just a plate of salad. Now, I usually just start with salad, and we'll talk about that. Then later I'll go for the second course. But I just, first and foremost, because you don't want to mix too much stuff at one time. You want to eat the light foods first, like the Rambam says, and then after, and according to Body Ecology by Donna Gates and many other health practitioners, and Food for Life, and all about mixing foods properly, and Rambam, as we said. So I start with the light first. So she's like, look at me, why don't you go get other things? There's so many other things. And I'm thinking, like, we're in the Dead Sea. I don't want to eat and feel dead. You know, like, I want to feel alive. And I just like let her say, no, you know, I just didn't want to be a preacher at the time and make her feel like an idiot, God forbid, because I saw her play and make her feel uncomfortable. But inside my mind, I was like, no, I want to eat to be alive, to feel the ability to be efficient, to do more with my time. So when we improperly combine food, it's another problem. Because again, one enzyme comes to the body and says, wait, you're a protein? I want to break you down. And then the other enzyme for the carbohydrates says, but I'm here. And they cannot work together to decompose the food. Because it's, you know, and if you notice even our Shabbos, we first eat the salad, then we eat the fish, and then we go on to the next.
Too
And
much.
by the way,
Yeah.
too much. Definitely too much.
Volume toivim. I mean,
Yes.
it's very,
So
very hard.
so yes, Shabbos, there is a thing about Shabbos to let go, but not that much. Because there is an Indian on Shabbos, the negativity of food
But so
doesn't
does
affect
nothing.
us. I read this, I learned this, but we have to be careful not to overeat it and go to sleep at the table when it's our precious time to have the most amazing time with our family. So the not combining properly and eating certain food groups together in the same like time period also causes the food to become putrid, to become acidic and toxic, and become fat more easily on your body, because the body's like, I don't know what to do with this. I can't send it to the liver, I can't send it to the brain too much, I can do a little bit because we need to feed this body. But what happens is the gut becomes so full of junk because of this mixing improperly and eating too much that's not decomposed food, and then it has to go somewhere from the gut because it can't be processed much in there either. So then it goes up the vagus, a pipeline like, from the gut to your brain, and some of it goes to your brain. And there's many research showing Alzheimer's linked to sugar. There's the book, so many books that I've read, where these kinds of food, people eating white bread, white rice, without the vitamins and minerals of the food that we need in these food groups, it literally not only gives us missing ingredients of these minerals and substances, but then it double whammy gives us a problem so that our mind is filled with this toxic substance. So, you know, like, no wonder in this day and age, Alzheimer's, dementias, Parkinson's, all these also mental and emotional problems that are occurring when we're not being more careful about our diet and how we eat and how we take care of our mind. So the question is, God made us so hungry. And he made us so busy. And so like we get lazy, we don't prioritize, we want to be the best mother and give everyone what they need for the day. They're clean socks, they're this, they're that. And then we're so rushed, and then we grab what's easy and simple, but at the expense of maybe having another 20 years with them if we take care of ourselves now. We can't burn that end of the rope thinking that we're giving the best to our family, but then we're not taking care of ourselves, whether it's praying, learning, eating right, exercising. The day's over, right? Like, what are you talking about? How am I going to get things done? But when you eat right, you're not going to have as much nervousness, agitation. You'll be more calm. You'll have more energy that you can push yourself another hour. You think you're investing that 1 hour or even just minimally 18 minutes of exercise gives you maybe 2 or 3 more hours of clarity, more hours of energy to get more things done. So you're investing that half an hour, but you're gaining maybe 3 hours of productivity from that 1 hour or that one half an hour. So we can't be lazy about taking care of ourselves at the expense of even holy missions that we're doing, taking care of our family. The other thing is, and it's very important to know, and that is the struggle that we have with the temptation of the food. It's like we're drawn to it. It's like we're slave chained, and like our mouth keeps going, and it's like we can't seem to stop. I experienced it. What's going on? No offense to baboons, but we're not baboons. Like, we have a head. God gave us intellect. And in this day and age, in internet, like what's available to us to know about our health, and we know. So what's going on? Why is it so tempting? Why is it so difficult? Well, okay, we said maybe we need to have more self-care and self-love, but it's more than that. It's about the chemical reaction that happens when we take that first bite of whatever it is. Meaning, we get a happy chemical when we take that first bite of that cookie, besides maybe the rush and the high from the sugar, and that's a whole different story. But I'm talking about just any food that you take, you get a happy chemical. Research shows. So then, that happy chemical dissipates, and you want more of it. You really want more of that buzz, that delightful, good feeling. And then you go for another, and you go for another. And what happens is, you feel fine. You don't feel stuffed, and eat, and you eat, and eat, and you don't really take the time maybe to chew the food well. And so it's very slow going down to your stomach. And so you feel like, oh, I have room for another, even a healthy piece of bread, or even a very healthy, delicious gourmet salad. Oh, I have room. But you don't, really. Because soon after, because you didn't chew so well, the food slowly and slowly comes, and in one shot, boom! Now you feel you're full, but it's too late. Oh, more is coming. Because it's like, wow. And you can't, get it to stop coming. So if you chew your food well, then it'll become liquid faster, it'll hit your stomach faster, and you will feel fuller. And when you do chew the food, it's very interesting, even the Torah teaches us that there's these sparks of holiness in the food that literally ignites like Kedusha in your brain. So when you see the research that when you're eating the food, a happy chemical is being produced, it's coming from a very deep spiritual source of holiness. In fact, in Kuntres Umayan, you'll see the Rebbe Rashab say that there's such holy sparks in the food, that's why we're attracted to it. Because God speaks, and His letters make that food, and these sparks are the creation of these foods. So we're drawn to these holy sparks. It's not a simple matter. And so the Rebbe Rashab actually explains, a person bereft of holy sparks from praying, from learning, from tzedakah, from chesed, will be more prone to being longing and yearning for these holy sparks in the food.
I don't understand.
Meaning, you can have a praying session with meditation and connecting to Hashem and feeling the sparks of holiness being drawn from the kedusha of the words you're saying in prayer. You can learn Torah, and when you say the words of Torah, these are sparks of holiness that are satiating you. Actually, it does say in the Torah that when you learn Torah, you don't need to eat as much, because the holy sparks satiate your physical body. I was just talking to someone, she said, you know what, when I'm in Israel, because I'm so busy with Kedusha there, I'm really less hungry, because she heard this class of mine, I read my lecture that was written on, I have it, if you want I could email you it. Anyway, so if you're not getting the sparks from learning and praying and chesed and staka and all these good deeds that you can acquire these holy sparks, then your body will long for these holy sparks more than the average person in food. Now, yes, there is something to this problem that a lot of people have, and that is emotional eating. They feel like they deserve a break. They feel like they deserve some kind of delight in their life. This person is not respecting me. I don't get love for my loved ones. And like, it's just time for me, myself, to enjoy, to have a break, to relax and enjoy. And a person like can be so emotional that they need, as it were, this to get them, you know, to feel some kind of a really fraudulent remedy to like appease what's going on in their battles within, of not being happy with their life or not being happy with themselves. The list goes on of reasons why people emotionally eat. So what happens is, if we can make more of an effort to understand why we're so drawn to these foods, and really be cognizant that, I guess I need to be more involved in holy work. I need to maybe pick up the pace on my davening and not blah, 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 2 minutes. And not do just reading the Tanya of the day, but let's like go delve into it and maybe let me review it and let me think about it, let me meditate about it, let me go give tzedakah, let me go do an act of kindness, let me get satiated from God's sparks in other ways. My body can only take a certain amount of sparks. And believe it or not, just like we said, the other stuff becomes fat, right? The extra becomes fat in our body. The extra food becomes klipa. And imagine that extra food that now is klipa because your body doesn't need it to learn and daven. It doesn't need it. It's extra. So what does the holiness of that food that you were so drawn to and you wanted that spark becomes a poison, not only physically but spiritually. A person's trying to get rid of their anger, their sadness, their anxiety, their everything, and they indulge in food. They're feeding the klipa. They're feeding their animal soul. They're feeding that power over to the other side so that the person will be more angry. They will be more depressed. They will be more anxious because it just now has been given over to this other energy in us. I give an example. If you have just 2 plants, one is a poison ivy and one is a fruit-bearing tree, and you only have so much water. So what are you going to do? Are you going to feed the poison ivy and then end up having it grow and it'll be a danger to your health? Or you give the water to the fruit-bearing tree so it will bear fruit. So when we eat, either we're going to eat properly and we're going to give power to our godly soul to shine, or we're going to overindulge and now feed the animal soul. And so that the animal soul will have more control of our gems. So this is like incredibly important avoida here. In the Rebbe Rishon, Kuntras HaAvoida says that all negative character traits comes from the way we eat. Check it out. I think page 47. Or 50, somewhere around there. So that if you're trying to go to a therapist and try to get advice on how to rectify your anger, and she's not going to discuss your eating habits. It's like, you go to the mikvah, but you're holding on to like a non-kosher animal, or even a non-alive animal, a tumidic animal. And you're going to the mikvah, but you're holding on to this impurity. So, like, you'll eat, and you're, like, holding on to this impurity, but you're trying to rectify your anger. And so, like, it's just giving energy over to your animal soul, and so it's going to be that much more difficult to improve in your midos. And sometimes people will say, no, I went to 12, and I'm not, 12-step does a lot of good things, I'm not saying, but I went to 12-step program and I conquered my eating without this kind of work. And I said, well, look, the Alter Rebbe says if you don't cure your midos by rectifying it within, the way you eat, and from the source of your soul, then it'll creep into some other area of your life. So she looked at me like I was a prophetess. She says, oh my gosh, I've become such a shopaholic since. So she channeled that pleasurable personality, because some people are born with more pleasure-seeking personality, the water element in them, and so she nipped it in the bud in food, but it was growing now. Her taivas, her pleasure-seeking personality was in shopping and buying and getting these sparks of pizzazz, because you get also kind of a chemical reaction when you go shopping. It makes you happy, but then you need more shopping, and you need more shopping, you need more stuff. Anyway, the point is that you can conquer something, but then if you don't conquer it from the holy way, and the way we are taught in the Torah, then it can seep into another direction and take control over you. So, let's talk about, now that we know this, that overeating literally feeds our animal soul more. Let me give you a mashal of something that came to my mind. Imagine that you have this situation where you really want your godly soul to shine, like we just said with the mikvah. You really want to get into that purity. You really want to do what's called circumcise your heart. That's what we're here for. We're born with these klippas. We're born with these obstacles and barriers to our essence of who we are. And our job is to remove these klippas. But instead what we're doing is building more barriers and getting more and more of these blockages so that our godly essence can more shine. So that our mental clarity will be able to give us this ability to tap into all that's already within us and use it in a good way. The Rebbe Rashab teaches us that. It's the way we eat. It's the source of everything in our negative character traits. And the Alter Rebbe actually says in Tanya, be careful, don't eat like a Babylonian, basically. A Babylonian was the body first, the pleasures of the world. He says, be vigilant, because from the word Bavel is mibulbal, confusion. Because when you eat incorrectly, you literally affect your brain power, according to Hasidus. Alien thoughts will grow from improper eating. If you refine the way you eat, you refine your brain. Physically, we just mentioned it, but now we're talking about the spiritual that has to do with the mental clarity, not only in the physical way. And then, because you'll have less alien thoughts, then you will be able to refine your emotions. Because thoughts create emotions. So if you refine the way you eat, then you will refine your mind and you will refine your emotions. Instead of trying to break the darkness with a stick, you just turn on the light by eating properly. We need to rectify the pleasure principle of our mouth. That's where healing from a disease comes from, and that's where preventative health comes in. According to Kabbalah, if you have any ailment, the first place you should start is diet. The first place you should start is eat less. The first place you should start is have a more alkaline diet and not too much acidic, fatty. No, good fat is good. We'll get into that soon when we get into the specifics of this diet and how to detox for preventative care. So the idea is that when we are careful in the way we eat, we just gain. It seems like I'm refraining, I feel deprived, everyone is enjoying, and I'm feeling like, because I want. My eyes see, especially if you're a water element, pleasure-seeking type of personality that you were gifted with, it makes it a lot easier. Some people are born frigid. They don't care for the chemistry. I go to these dinners with my husband's boss and their child, and she will not eat the cake. She says she doesn't like these pleasures. I'm like, so lucky. Some people are born. It doesn't attract them. And some people have this amazing, holy energy and they can be the pleasure-seeking type of personalities that love Hashem and love the pleasure of learning and love the pleasure of davening and love, and all the pleasures. So, it comes with a price. You think you're refraining, but you're literally gaining. You're gaining access to a better mind, better emotions, better long-term health and short-term health. Have I made my pitch? Have I convinced you enough? The list goes on. So let's talk about sugar. Because if you can leave also with one other thing, I don't really recommend this sugar booze book because there's some things here that are not so Jewish that I would want people to read. But there is good information in this book on how toxic and how damaging sugar is. We think, just a little something after the meal, and might not eat the whole 3 pieces of cake and 2 scoops of ice cream and more. And we're just a little something after, to top it off, just a sweet taste at the end of the meal. But sugar actually causes a lot of damage. Sugar crosses the blood-brain barrier. Most food goes here, there, here, and finally, after it's refined, it goes to your brain. Sugar, for some reason, the way it is chemically produced, makes it an easy to get to your brain right away. And that's why you feel like, ooh, very good for a moment. But it literally eats up the lining of parts of your body that ends up exposing things that you don't want exposed. Sugar actually creates havoc on your hormonal system, literally also changing the food to acid. Just a little ending of the meal with sugar turns your whole meal in an instant to something you don't want to even think about. Besides the fact that sugar decay, and besides the fact that research shows that sugars feed cancer, and that it literally opens the lining so more and more of the cancer cells will grow and grow. And besides the fact that sugar makes you so sleepy, and the tooth decay and the expense and everything else like that. So we want to, we want to have this motto: refrain but gain. Not refrain and I get deprived. By refraining, I'm gaining. So I'm not saying not to have, just live a life of no pleasure in food in a sense, but know how to eat it and when. So if you're going to have something sweet, hopefully honey or with maple syrup, and hopefully a better choice, because sugar, the way they made it, it just wreaks so much havoc. And honey and all these other things have some minerals, have some, ability to sustain you and with energy that's not as dangerous for you. And, but minimize it and definitely have it in a time where it's not going to then affect all the food that you just ate was expensive and healthy for you in a way that's just going to ruin what you just ate. So what I do sometimes is when I go places, I just either, I just like have in mind that Shabbos, I'm going to have my special treat. There's this delicious ice cream called Coconut Bliss, and it's made with coconuts. And it's every flavor you can imagine, and you don't feel, for people that don't like the taste of coconut, I happen to like, but you don't feel the taste of coconut. It tastes like ice cream, and I know Shabbos is my day for delight. And I allow myself a certain amount, and so that I just don't deprive myself. And so I don't feel like I'm losing out. And I have it, a little bit before going to shul, so it's not at the end of my meal, so that I'm not going to conk out. Because what happens is when, again, the combustion of different carbohydrates and proteins and this and the sugar, forget it. You need a nap, or not a nap, but 3 hours sleeping engagement. So, we're being recorded, but if you don't mind, yeah, you can ask a question.
Yeah. Can I ask?
Yeah.
About sugar, do you talk about cane sugar or any sugar?
Any sugar is not good. Even honey after a meal is not good. Or honey in the chicken. I'm just telling you, it makes a lot of like turbulence in your stomach, and that's why people have, gas and they're bloated, and that's why they have so many leaky guts and everything. They're really combining foods improperly. Everyone is like, especially Ashkenazi. I go out to different places and there's honey-like, but not really honey-like, but teriyaki, sweet teriyaki with sugar on the fish. And then there's the barbecue sauce on the chicken. And then there's sugar in the salad. And there's sugar in the cocoa. And the sugar in the sugar. It's like the whole meal is sugar. And it's the worst thing to do is mix the sugary type of stuff with a protein. It just ruins the good quality of the protein that we need. Anyway, I don't want to scare you, and then you're going to say, how am I going to eat this whole trip? I really should have done this at the end of the meal, at the end of this weekend retreat. But
is there any proper way to eat some of sugar because the body needs?
No, so there's the complex carbohydrates. There's brown rice, there's wild rice, there's quinoa, there's so much out there. Or if you're going to have the bread, there's oat bread, there's whole spelt bread, there's a lot of choices.
Yes.
But knowing how to eat it in combination is one of the key ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
But the first and foremost, as we said earlier, don't overeat. So how do you start your day? This is how. You can start your day with 1 or 2 glasses of water. Some people say put lemon. Some people say you can put apple cider vinegar. Get your probiotics in the beginning. Hydrate, because hydration, people don't realize, is the same like when you feel like famished and you feel like I'm so hungry. It may be because you're just so thirsty and you're not hydrating enough. The symptoms of dehydration is the same symptoms as hunger pain. So the first thing when you feel hungry, drink. And then you'll say, wow, I'm not hungry anymore. It was because I wasn't hydrated. And then let's say 15 minutes later after you did that, then have some berries. I know a lot of people make berries with peanut butter and with almonds and this. There's a sentence, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Sweetie.
Let's change it to sweetie. Keep it. I love that. I was trying to think of another word. It's some person made that up. The more simple you have in your diet, the better the health. So yes, it's all fun to make all these shakes and mix all these different things, but it's not good for you. You're mixing the protein, that peanut butter, or that almond milk, or that almond. Okay, once in a while, you don't have to, but I'm just saying on a regular basis, it's not good. Just have your fruit by itself, and that Fit for Life says it. You know how many years I suffered from major pain and stomach problems and digestive issues, and then someone said to me, try the book, Fit for Life. And it taught me how to combine properly. My stomach became like Gan Eden. Oh, by the way, they say if you suffer stomach ailments, you don't have to go to Gehenna. So I'm like, yes, I'm going straight to not eating. No, it really made me happy because how many years I suffered. I'd go to so many health practitioners. Nobody said, how are you eating? Or how much are you eating? Yeah, I wasn't 300 pounds overweight, so maybe they didn't worry about me. But I was wrongly and overeating. And suffering. No remedy, no tincture, no whatever they were trying to push and sell me to helped me. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars by paying them and their trinkets and everything, and nothing helped. Until I read the Body Collie Diet and Fit for Life and all these kinds of books that helped me understand it's the way I'm eating that could, and also Rabbi Ginsburg's book and the Rambam's book, and the combination of the two helped me to be aware. But it didn't help me because I wasn't able to control my mouth. It was only till Hasidus came that helped me understand how to channel that passion for food into passion for other things, and to have more self-mastery over my actions. Anyway, so we start with the water, then just the fruit. And then if you're hungry in 20 minutes, have some raw almonds or pecans or something if you need some fat and something like that. Some people then have their oatmeal, but a lot of people, oatmeal and the banana and the strawberries and the berries. First of all, you're mixing fruit that don't go. And just mixing fruit that don't go also can give you gas, but we're not going to go too picky on that right now. But trust me, if you're having gas, it might be the reason. And bloatiness and suffering and tiredness. Then, after, you can have your lunch at whatever time, depending on what time you wake up in the morning. 80%, especially after age 40, 80% of your meal should contain greens. 60 to 80 if you don't want that 80. You don't need to eat so much. You can get satiated with a big salad, and then you decide, do I want protein or do I want a carbohydrate? So if you had the carbohydrate maybe for breakfast, then you can go with the, what you feel like. If you had too much protein the day before and you've been so much protein, you can choose, but choose one. And have either the protein or either the carbohydrate. And then you'll want some snack. Before you snack, drink. And remember, under-eating keeps you fit and healthy and prevents diseases. So don't snack so much. And if you snack, have fennel, tastes like licorice to me. Have, there's so many amazing vegetables. Jicama, I love. And there's, especially in California, if you have celery, it's not so bitter. And all these vegetables as a snack. And then, if that's not satiating enough, then a couple of maybe almonds or pecan or something, or a flax cracker or something as a snack. And then dinner time, same thing. Now, dinner time, you can maybe eat a little more, because that's when you're ready to kind of make your body ready for sleep. So, you eat less during the day and you just can go. But now you need to eat somewhat better so you can kind of use food as a drug to help your body begin to relax and go to sleep. So you can have a soup also, and you can have a little extra. But again, always noticing that you don't eat till you're satiated. And if in the next 2 hours you're hungry before you go to sleep, then you can have another little snack. Some avocado with a flax cracker, some vegetable, even whatever. And so that if you feel like you're too hungry to go to sleep. And that is where you have maximum energy for the next day. Because so many people, they overeat all day long, and then they sleep 8 or 9 hours and they still feel tired.
But may I say something? If food is your comfort thing, that's,
Right, you came in late, so we talked about food as a comfort. Yeah, I'm not late, but you came when you came. But we already discussed that. Yeah, so this is on Facebook, so you can review it. And I have other classes on YouTube and Torah Anytime,
so that means totally changing everything.
Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah, so it's basically. It's our neshama that wants the holy sparks of the food, It's our brain chemicals that get excited for the happy chemicals, and it's a lot of war going in inside of us we talked about, and that ends up causing us to like want something to quiet the inner war that's going in within us, and like escaping almost for some kind of happy chemical from the food and some kind of comfort, where it's really fraudulent, that we just need to work on ourselves. And there's more about that later in other classes that I've given, since we already talked about it already. So, but so that is basically a full day's diet. We have to like get out of this fear factor that we're not eating enough and we're going to become weak and we're going to become this. And no, it's more safe to undereat than overeat all the greatest of foods with this mineral and that E and this. I want to get that food in and this food in, and oh, I have to eat that food to be well. I remember reading even in, I think it was En Yaakov, that said, after 40, it's most important to hydrate than food. So like, you know.
Rambam said that if you are not thirsty, you should not drink. Rambam.
Right, but he also said, and I don't know what's the true factor here, but he also said in Rambam, like whatever is found out later, and that I may be wrong, but and Yaakov says after age 40, it's more important to drink than even eating. So I'm not saying gallons and gallons and gallons also till you're like, can't handle it. But if you're hungry, first drink, basically. Because it could be you're dehydrated, as we were saying earlier. And besides the fact that it's good for your skin, besides the fact that it just allows all the nutrients to flow easily. Because otherwise, if you're not drinking enough, then you're constricting everything, and then there can't be movement. You don't want to drink after the meal. You don't want to drink during the meal. It's really not good. It's drink before you eat. And another important factor is, as I was saying in the beginning of the class, is when you do eat, chew your food. Because the first enzymes that break down the food is in your mouth. So if you're not chewing the food till it's almost liquid, then you're missing the first decomposing of the food that should happen in your mouth. And then you will see that you are less nauseous from overeating, because you'll feel the food, you'll feel the satiation, and then you'll know, okay, I don't need to eat anymore. But if you're not going to break down the food, then in that way, then it's going to be that much more difficult. In the beginning, for anyone who is suffering a disease, Donna Gates talks about a detox program. 3 days, maybe a week. For 5.5 years before getting on this, regiment of knowing how to really eat, and I was suffering a lot of digestive issues, as I said, and I went everywhere, as I said, and nothing was helping. I read her book, and I understood this concept and ideology. Your body has the power to self-heal. But you need to eat a little less so that the energy that you have will be used to fight off the disease, rather than using so much energy to break down the food. So she highly suggests, if you're suffering some kind of ailment, now you have to, of course, talk to your doctor about this, figure it out for yourself. I'm not preaching something, that only you have to make the calculations of, but she had many, many years of success and many, many testimonials of her healing. And by miracle, this book came my way, so I felt it was Hashgacha Pratis. The person didn't even know that I was sick. She just thought it was a great book because I'm into health. And there she says, this idea is, eat less. Why is it so good? Because you have more energy to heal, to recuperate, to fix the glitches of this and that in your body, so that you don't have to use so much energy to break down the food. So she suggests 3 days of very light eating. She says vegetables, juices, meaning mostly vegetable juices. She says 3 days of no fat, 3 days of no salt, and 3 days of just light foods like grains, like kasha or quinoa or amaranth or teff, like things, and just 3 days detox. And it might be a little hard, and you might be a little like weak, but that allows the extra energy to self-heal. Everybody running around for some medicine out there to heal them. But we can be our own healers by allowing the body to do its work. I mean, look at when you cut yourself and how the body knows to fix that cut. It's programmed within. Then she says, if you want to do a fuller detox, you can do 4 days of now continuing this detox, but now you add light proteins instead of just the light grains. She says, you know, you can have eggs or a little fish, you know, but don't mix. Remember, we don't want to mix so maybe one of the meals. Now there's this new craze, just do carbohydrates one day and do proteins the next day. I heard it's having a lot of success. People are feeling good, feeling fit, losing weight, and it's so difficult to lose weight. It's so easy to gain, but somehow Hashem made it so difficult to lose. So, anyways, I hope what I just shared with you doesn't scare you. I hope that you can, if you're suffering some kind of a disease, to do a detox. There are centers to do it, so you don't feel alone, and doing it in a group. I actually, after I did my own personal detox, I said, this is so powerful. I could not believe 5.5 years of suffering, this 1H pylori, and I did 3 rounds of antibiotics after doing the holistic, and the holistic didn't, and after then going back to a holistic, and the holistic didn't help, and getting this body detox, the way she wrote, and doing it, healed my problem. After thousands and thousands of dollars, after so much running around like a chicken without you know what, and after so much heartache and suffering. And so I took my mom to a detox center, and she was also suffering terribly, headaches, dizziness, back pain, leg pain. She couldn't walk. She was in a wheelchair, like not even be able to move her leg, to move it, to put it on the pedal. 2 or 3 days later, she was able to walk with help and move her legs like nothing. Like she put my son, my daughter, they were all there. I take them yearly to this detox place in Israel, kosher, to help my mom, but we all benefit. And then there's like courses all day long, and there's treatment center there. It's an amazing place. I'm not doing it's not my place, whatever. But you can do it in your own home. It's harder sometimes, but it's not impossible. Now I recommend this for everyone, whether you're sick or not. But if you happen to be sick, even like a bladder infection, or even a yeast infection, or even any kind of infection, diminish your food intake, almost fast. Because when you feed your body, it feeds that disease or that virus that's in you. If I have about to have a flu or flu symptoms, I just detox. I just don't eat as much. I just maybe juice it, soup, light, and voila. I can Baruch Hashem, Bli Ein Hara, tu, and whatever you want to say on top. Have not had to go to a doctor since this way of life. So the preventative is detox maybe once in 6 months, once a year. And everything that I shared with you today hopefully will keep you healthy and fit and vibrant and happy, emotionally. Men actually, if you read her book, she says men.
This lady, Donna Gates. What's the name of the book? Body Ecology. Okay.
I think it's called and she says men is for different because they need more protein than women, so they don't go 60 to 80% vegetables. They go like, I don't know, if I remember correctly.
They're different for different.
Yeah, different, and
issue.
also pregnant
Okay,
one for
thank
sure,
you.
for sure. But it's all the same in that sense of being mindful of how you eat, being mindful that you don't overeat, being mindful to combine foods properly, and if you can't all day long combine properly, just say 1 meal of the day to combine. Start baby steps, And then you'll see, wow, I feel so light, I feel so good. It'll become almost organically natural to you to want to do more than just that one baby step. Because you don't like the different feeling once you like kind of give in and go back to the old ways. You're just like, can't. It's just like, it's like living in the dark ages when we actually have light, you know what I mean? And our body is a bundle of light. We need to help our body shine and be efficient and productive. And I highly recommend, I have many meditations on food, on YouTube, to like visualize your success. Visualize, and I call it what psychology calls it, pairing. So that you look at the icky food and you pair it with negative images, and you look at the healthy foods with a healthy portion, and you see light, and you see yourself strong, and you see yourself disease-free, and you see yourself like being 90 and able to run a marathon, and you're just seeing like such good images that your brain will get in the habit of being attracted to the right food choice. And so that when you're in front of that sugary, dead food, God forbid, like that could cause so much ailments, you see it for the fraudulent that it is. Sheker, sheker, sheker.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bezrat Hashem. We
Yeah.
will dance in the Beit HaMikdash. We'll be
Amen.
120 years old, and we will be healthy, strong, and vibrant. And hopefully, like soon, any day now, we should have the Health and Happiness book uploaded to. It's just any day. I'm just praying, maybe within a couple weeks, that it will be ready for uploading. But it's all there, and in my YouTube and in the Torah Anytime to get this information before the book actually comes out.
Okay.
All
Do you want me
right.
to press a
Yes.
button?
Bye.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good.
We're gonna